Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the next session, which is Future of Retailing 2020. To take this forward, joining us up on stage is the retail industry lead of Accenture. May I request all of you to please welcome Mr. Trilokesh Satpathy, please.
Retail industry lead for technology services in Accenture, and very happy to be in this August company talking about the future of retailing. We had some very insightful sessions through the day, and I will sort of build on top of it. Suresh talked about the ABCD for fashion as a framework. I would like to talk about a framework that I think applies to what is the future of retail. And also, I'll talk about what winners would do in the next, in 2020 to grow. Before I start, we all know that digital has fundamentally changed the way businesses operate in the current world. Half of the Fortune 500 companies that were in the list in year 2000 are no longer in the list. The winds of change have only become more stronger currently than what it was there 10 years back. And what this means is that we cannot bury our head in the sand and hope that the storm will blow over. We have to look at ways in which we understand the future of retailing, and the future of retailing is going to be shaped by technology. So we need to understand the trends, the technological trends, and using those predict what is going to happen in future and take proactive actions to address that. What I've done is I've tried to put a framework, not as intuitive as ABCD probably, but this is a framework which I've tried to put based on Accenture research and looking at some of the industry analyst reports like Euromonitor and Gartner and a few other reports. And what I've tried to do is create three main trends, which I call the Omni all-present trends. The omniscient assistant, the omnificient butler, and the omnipresent channels. Some of these trends you will find to be a little bit too futuristic. My caveat to that would be that please don't look at these technologies as futuristic because they are coming real fast. And if you do not change now, you could get disrupted. So either change or be one of those organizations which probably has dropped off the list a few years back. And at the last second part of the presentation, I will talk about what winners will do to address these challenges and this disruption. Wow, that's a really bright slide. So the first trend that I wanted to pick up is technology as the omniscient assistant, omniscient as an all-knowing assistant. There is one technology assistant that almost all of us use nowadays whenever we have a question, whenever we have a query. Can you guess what assistant I'm talking about? Google, right? So Google processes around 3.5 billion queries a day. And whenever I look at that statistic, I always feel where were those queries going before Google? I guess it was somewhere going towards the encyclopedias, the famous yellow books that we used to have in the past, which have since disappeared from the market, disrupted by the digital revolution. The thing is, the technology as the omniscient assistant has pushed all this physical assistants into oblivion. What does this mean to us as a retailer? As a retailer, I believe, if I look back to how I purchased my car 20 years back, right? I went to dealer, collecting their vouchers, trying to find out what's the price, talking with my parents, talking to my brother, and decided on a car to purchase. If a millennial does it today, he just sits in his house, and is able to browse for weeks different reviews, price comparisons, feature comparisons. Technology has totally changed the way he looks and does his buying decision. And what that implies is we have to create services and solutions that leverage the technology as the omniscient assistant while creating our proposition to the customers. I will pick up some of the things that are happening in the industry just to give you an idea that why I think this is a huge trend that we ignore only at our risk. If you look at all the industry analysts, what they are talking, I've just picked up Gartner as an example. Gartner recently published the strategic top 10 technology trends for 2017. And 3 of those happen to be on the intelligent theme: applied AI and advanced machine learning, intelligent apps, and intelligent things. Another way of looking at what's going to happen is to look at what is it that the pioneering companies of our times are doing, like Google. If you look at Google, you must have noticed that in their main screen, they have got a small mic icon that has come up very recently, which is basically search by voice commands, right? This is linked to an artificial intelligence and removes the need for you to type your searches in. Google is investing very heavily in artificial intelligence. Just an indication that probably there's a lot of things happening in this technology. They have 15% of the Google searches are now pushed through what they have artificial intelligence called Rank Brain, and that is increasing more and more in usage. They have recently launched a chat which is called Allo, I don't know how to pronounce it, ALLO. And this chat has an artificial intelligence agent built in who seamlessly interjects into your conversations. So if you are talking with your friend that you are hungry, the artificial intelligence will come in and say, give you a list of restaurants that are near to your location to go and eat. So it sort of is a third party in your conversations and is built into the chat engine. Google, a couple of years back, bought Nest, which is a artificial intelligence-based thermostat, which tracks your activity and based on that controls the temperature of your room and your ambience, saving hundreds of dollars for customers. They have also opened up their AI platforms now. So TensorFlow and DeepMind are AI platforms that Google has just released for everyone to innovate. And what is this doing? And this is not just Google. This is being done across companies where they have got AI platforms that are open for innovation. And this is creating a burst of innovation on the artificial intelligence area, which will result in a lot of new technologies and a lot of new changes coming in. If you look at other big companies, they are also investing a lot on artificial intelligence. IBM has got its Watson AI platform. Amelia is a digital assistant from IPsoft, which can provide customer service. Amazon Echo has come up with this Amazon Echo product, which is based on artificial intelligence. It can tell you the height of Statue of Liberty. It can tell you the weather that is outside. It can also create your shopping list. These technologies are all based on artificial intelligence, and the advanced retailers have already started looking at ways in which they can use it. And this is true for Facebook, for Walmart, and even my favorite company, Accenture. Accenture is investing a lot on artificial intelligence, and these are 3 agents that I meet pretty often in my working life, because I've got another hat where I manage the delivery for one of the retail transformation program for a US retailer. And these agents basically look at different parameters of what is happening in my program and give me actions to take in case there are any issues, or even predict risks that might happen and do corrections accordingly. So the point that I want to make is there is a lot of investment and a lot of innovation that's happening in the artificial intelligence space, which are sort of a precursor that Omniscient Assistant will, powered by AI, automation, data analytics, will be the start of the next wave of disruption in the digital space. Retailers will create services with manners and brains. Manners because the customers will be trusting with a lot of data for the retailers, so there is a need for digital trust, how you use that data and how securely you keep that data from being misused by someone else. And brains, because it will have to use the Omniscient Assistant features when they are proposing different products, proposing different solutions to customers. The next technology trend is that technology is fast evolving as the omnificient butler, with an unlimited power to understand your requirements, your emotions, and based on that, provide you proactively services before even you have asked for it explicitly. What you would see is these are some of the precursors to what I call the omnificient butler trend. How many in this room are using health bands? Oh, quite a few. So that's something that is becoming more and more adopted across, even in India and across the world. So wearables in form of fitness bands, in form of jewelry, in form of something that gets embedded into your shoes, track your health, track your sleeping patterns, track and sort of give you lifestyle decisions to take, right? And then we have got Visa working on what they call the connected car project, where the car is, wherever the car goes, it connects to devices around that location and gives certain promotions and what is available information around that location. So you get services delivered to the car without stepping out of the car. Technology has also created some interesting models. One is it allows customers to go and subscribe for surprise me subscription, where on a monthly basis you get a gift which you don't know what is there inside, but you get a gift from the Omniscient butler. So there are new processes, new models that are evolving out of what technology has enabled and creating this living services. This is a term that Accenture Research uses, which is basically what living services are a set of devices or beacons that sense your actions, your emotions, your environment, and based on that, provide services as you need. So if you look at these sort of devices which would create the living services, we have got around 200 billion IoT devices that Intel thinks we'll have by 2020. This is about 26 devices per person on this world. Obviously, we talked about wearable devices, and they are getting a lot of traction. What Omnificient Butler, to ride this particular trend, I think what retailers need to do is encompass offerings into living services that surround the customers. They will have to create apps that are, instead of being user-controlled, are actually proactively powering a user's life. So it's not based on saying that I want to do this. It basically takes a judgment of what you need and gives you that offering. And through all this, they will create models which help and partner with the customer in the decision-making process, creating hyper convenience for the customers. The third trend that I wanted to pick up was omnipresent channels. And this is a trend that is already a reality. I believe that this will become more and more prevalent as we, in the next few years. We have already seen that, so this is again another data where mobile global data, that is the 3G, 4G data that we use, is going to increase to 30.6 exabytes by 2020. 1 exabyte is around 1 billion petabytes, if that helps. So there's a lot of data that's moving on the mobile front, and I think in the Euromonitor presentation, Surabhi talked about the rise of mobile phones as a channel for across in the millennial age. There's augmented, so if you look at what's happening in this space, right, there are Indian retailers who have already started experimenting with augmented reality. Yohdian is a Chinese retailer which was bought over by Walmart a few years back, and they got into news when they launched 100 stores in China over one day. And these stores were basically, one of the stores they opened at the parking lot of their competitor. So it's that simple to create. There is a lot of 3D printing and those type of technologies will change the way supply chain works in several categories. And 3D printing is something that has become really real for us because a few weeks back I was presenting, I had taken them to Accenture Labs, one of the clients, and I was talking about 3D printing and how it changes the supply chain. And this client told me that her six-year-old daughter used to get from the school, small prints out, printed material to her home. So it's like in primary schools in the US, 3D printers are already getting in and people are getting exposed, kids are getting exposed to it. There will be also a platform of partners type of ecosystem coming up. We have got models like Instacart where they use Uber-like service to deliver groceries in hours. Amazon has come up with Amazon Flex where anyone with an Amazon app can become a distributor of their products for whatever, $18, $20 a day. Not a day, an hour. And also the competitors will become partners. So the online version of Amazon Prime partnering with the UK grocery store Morrisons to create a value offering which is both, which helps both the partners and creates greater convenience for the customers. So what are the takeaways and what do we do to address this omnipresent channels, this trend of omnipresent channels which is going to become more and more evolved? In the digital world, applications are no longer merely to support businesses. Applications will become the business. We already see in a lot of cases like Amazon Flex that I picked up, application is the business, is the way they manage their supply chain. Platforms for business and seamless experience across channels will become key to remain competitive. What I think will happen is, at the end of the day, we will see a digitalization of the store. All these trends, the three trends that I talked about, would merge together to create an environment where we have to, where as retailers, we need to constantly innovate and be adaptive. We need to leverage the mess of customer connections, like Amazon is using its customer as their distributors. And also the mesh of connections will come very, very effective when we are trying to promote certain products. There are a lot of companies, especially in fashion space, who use Instagram to sell or promote their products. And an important factor through all this would be to create an immersive shopping experience for the customers, which would sort of get them excited, talking about that particular, of that experience, and also sharing it with their friends and getting them back into the store more often. So we talked about the 3 trends. What do winners do in this situation? I think winners would do 3 things very well. The first one is people first. Within people first, I think we heard during the panel discussions around getting the marriage between partners done within your organization. That could be one of the suggestions, but I think there are 2 things that we need to do more. One is to get the people trained on future technologies and what is happening in the future, get them ready for the future. And the second piece is to create a corporate culture where we encourage innovation and we are ready for people to disrupt the status quo. I think those are the 2 important things that we need to do to make us successful as retailers. We have to keep our people, enable our people to firstly understand what is happening and then be able to disrupt the status quo. The second important thing that I think retailers need to do is to get their technology landscape future ready. And to get that, so they need to create systems of engagement with their customers, with their partners, which are based on convenience and driving value. And to do this, because there's always a pressure of margins, it is very important that they squeeze their, or sweat their assets and bring in industrialization and intelligent automation to save dollars, which they plow in to move their applications to the cloud, consolidate, decommission the old applications, and effectively save additional dollars, which they can use to digitalize their operations and bring the new technology, new offerings to the customers that help them grow and disrupt the changes. The last but not the least point is to create a ecosystem of partners like Accenture. So the ecosystem of partners will be partners who can work with your organization to bring in innovation and accelerate your pace to change. And the reason I put Accenture is just as an example of what could be a partner that you should be working with, a partner that has a global exposure to a lot of retailers, a partner that has a scale and the understanding of the business and the ability to provide services across a varied set of requirements that you might have to help you innovate and to be a valued partner in your journey as you go through disrupting and working through these changes. That's all that I had, and I'm not sure how much I did with time. We're totally up on time. Okay. Thank you for your patient hearing.